So I wanted to talk about a couple issues that's been rotating around social media, and actually a topic that a lot of people like to discuss, but really don't want to kind of get down to the point to the root of it all, is the tipping culture here in the United States. So coming from a server and being in the industry for so long, and I've made my money, my income off tips. That's my livelihood, is to wait on people, to ensure proper service, is actually an acronym for tips, in case y'all didn't know that. But, when I go out to eat, there's certain things I look at, and there's certain things I expect from a server. So, as far as a guideline for tipping, there really is none, but one thing's for sure, right, is we all expect service. And that's one thing you cannot get moving on to the future as we become AI, robotics, and all that stuff, is that, they want to go ahead and start, cutting staff down, where computers can start playing the role of a server, or just, being able to take an order and have their food arrive to the table. But being a server is so much more to that, right? When you go out to eat, when you take somebody out on a date, there's certain things that you want to do, right? I mean, you want to go out to eat, you want to find a nice, beautiful restaurant, make sure the ambiance is exactly what you want it to be, the atmosphere, right? The mood, everything, right? Everything is going to be all aligned for you to make a good impression on the person that you are trying to impress. So that to me is part of service, So when people go out to eat and ask themselves, like, or complain, or like, oh my gosh, I gotta spend money on the food, on the drinks, and then at the end of the dinner or brunch, whatever, I gotta tip out the server. Oh God, he or she doesn't even deserve it, and sometimes it's true, they don't deserve it. I've been in a situation where I've looked at my colleagues, and all they do is take the order, and the food comes because the food runner drops off the food, and the busser does everything else, and at the end of the day, they get the tip. But to me, that's not what service is all about, right? So being a server is so much more than that. When you actually meet your guests, when they sit down, the initial greet, knowing your product, being able to provide an experience is part of being a server. Making sure that you're able to multitask, ensuring that the food, the drinks arrive on time, pre-bussing, all these other things that you have to do in addition to having other tables is what the servers do and what they need to do, and maybe do more than is expected. And that to me is what we as servers, or anybody that thinks about what tips is all about, right? You got to look at all those things from point A to point Z. What have they done? What has the server done? All the things. Was it a great experience? Was the food good? But one thing's for sure, tips will hopefully never go away, and you got to be mindful and thoughtful about the server that is actually, taking care of you and your guests. I mean, that's their livelihood, right? I mean, that's how they pay their bills. So when people complain about tipping, ask yourself this: when you go out to eat, right, what do you expect? And is the expectations met? Were you given the things that you expected? And so much more. There's a certain guideline that starts at 10%, 15%, 18%, 20% or more. I like to leave 18% or more, right? That's just because I'm in the industry. But gauge the service, right? Gauge everything else that the server's done, the experience that you've had, and then just take it from there. Don't overthink it. This is what people do to pay their bills, and don't quit complaining. You can't afford to go out to eat. don't go out to eat. If you can't afford to tip, don't go out to eat. Go buy something to cook and stay home. Peace.